Alright, welcome back, extraterrestrials, to the X-Files franchise breakdown. In this episode, we're starting with episode 1, The Pilot. In this episode, Agent Dana Scully is instructed to debunk an FBI project dubbed The X-Files, cases that are linked to the paranormal that have been reopened by Agent Fox Mulder. In this episode, we also see, in Oregon, a teenager, Karen Swenson, is seen fleeing through the woods. When she falls, a dark shadow figure approaches, and both become enveloped in light. Swanson's body is later found by the Belfour detectives with small marks on her back. Mulder and Scully go to investigate. So, in this episode, we meet Dana, we meet Mulder, we see Dana being assigned to the X-Files to debunk the X-Files, and in that, she ends up on a case with Mulder in Oregon, finding out what happened to this girl. So, in this episode, we're told that Mulder ranked very high in the FBI, in the academy. He is a brilliant mind, but he has this obsession with paranormal, aliens, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah.
And Dana is tasked with debunking it.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about these characters when you first meet them?
Okay, when you first meet them, you meet Scully. Mm-hmm. She's being interrogated by the head of the FBI and two other assailants in the room. You meet... What?
You're making it sound like a rape. Like, no. She's being interrogated. Assailants. Okay.
Yeah, I'm speaking FBI terms.
Okay, all right.
I sound like an adult for the first time in my life. So they're
two other masked men.
So the head of the
off in the background.
So the head of the FBI is asking her questions while two people are looking on. So yeah, we meet Dana, mm-hmm. and they're asking her questions. Mm-hmm. Does she know this character Fox Mulder? What is your, how do you know him? Just breaking it down, trying to find out a little bit about her. She went to medical school. She then went into the FBI, just like Fox too. If you notice, Fox went to Oxford, learned psychology, and then became an FBI agent. Right. They need a watchdog on Mulder. We don't know anything beforehand on why is Scully getting signed this task. We don't know why Mulder needs to eat, or even the X-Files need to be like legitimized. Like, right. This motherfucker down in the basement saying he's seeing little green men. He ain't seen shit.
Great.
Great. Yeah. Whereas, once more, the head of the FBI and these two characters are just exceedingly, one is smoking a cigarette. Dum, dum, dum. But we meet Mulder. Mm-hmm. Mulder is in the basement of the fucking FBI headquarters or wherever, the J. Edgar Hoover building. Yeah. And it's a mess down there. What does he say? No one down here but the FBI's least wanted or whatever.
Most unwanted.
Most unwanted, yeah. We find Fox. There's just crap all over the place. There's posters up on the wall. He's disheveled, but at the same time, when he talks, he knows what he's talking about, and he's smooth. Mm-hmm. He's a badass, basically. He's just trying to, he knows why she's there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, he immediately...
Yeah, that's really the clear basis of this episode of characters.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely get an introduction to the characters, and you definitely see... It doesn't take long to show you which character is what, and what their beliefs are, and that you immediately see a chemistry between them.
Yeah.
I mean, within minutes, as ridiculous as she finds Mulder, he proves his points to her very articulately, and she's kind of taken back almost. But she also giggles. She also smiles. She gets angry because, you know, he's been around the block. He knows what's happening right now.
Yeah.
He knows that she's to watch him, to debunk everything, and he's going to show her that you can't debunk everything.
Yeah.
Basically. And
I think that's really what the show, not only this episode, but the show in general, is trust. Can Mulder trust Scully? And is what she is doing, you know, out in the field with him, is it truthful?
right.
You know, he's out looking for the truth. Is this just a person that's trying to just completely throw him off track from his X-Files?
Right.
Or is Scully somebody that he can go, okay, this is clear signs of extraterrestrial?
Right.
And is she going to go, no, it isn't. I'm going to write to the people. I'm going to call to the people and stuff that put me in charge or put me, you know, to do this, and say that he is mentally unstable to do a job. You know, he's seeing little gray men.
Great.
Gray, yeah. But this is a big plot hole, I think. Not a plot hole, but just a big, like, point in the episode, in the season. Dana, you know, we see her grow through the episode. We see Mulder actually kind of like devolve, you know, where he's so excited. He saw, you know, when there's a point in the episode where the car stops and they lose time. And he's dancing around in the rain like a fucking happy ass kid and stuff because he's got contact or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see from his point of view. Yeah, if I'd been searching for this and this is the closest that he's come, yeah, I'd be excited as well.
Yeah. So I think the roles reverse when you get that. You get Scully who's saying, well, there's a logical explanation for this. And Mulder going, are you fucking crazy? We lost time.
Which brings me to my next point of defining characters.
Yeah.
And I think within 2 quotes in the first episode, they define characters and they define this show and what this show is going to do and be about. They're discussing the case of Karen Swanson before they leave to fly to Oregon, and Mulder says, now when convention and science offer us no answers, might we finally turn to the fantastic as a plausibility? To which Scully immediately responds with, what I find fantastic is any notion that there are answers beyond the realm of science. That the answers are there, you just have to know where to look. That sets the dynamic for the entire show.
Yeah.
That shows you he's the believer and he's willing to listen to science, but at some point you've got to look past science and go, maybe we don't know everything. And her character is basically like, it can be explained, you just got to look hard enough.
Yeah.
And both of them are right throughout this series. So let's move into the secondary plot of the episode with the girl that gets abducted.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about that? Like, you got anything on that? Anything specifically within that plot line?
Monkey in a coffin?
Yeah, there's a monkey in a coffin.
There's a monkey in a coffin, which is great. I love that. You actually see Mulder kind of break down. Like, he's giggling and stuff, you know, I guess this is what they call for a joke or blah, 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 after this coffin falls, when they're trying to exhume a body to find out if there's any, you know, difference in autopsy.
Right.
And he lifts up the coffin, he sees it, he closes the coffin and stuff, and he snaps right into FBI mode. He's like, seal this up! Yeah. Nobody's just saying, you know, he goes from 1 to 0 real quick.
I think that's another thing about his personality that we don't see often, but we see that he's also a very serious agent.
Oh, yeah.
When the time comes, he can be that person as well.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't even think to bring that up.
Plot of this episode, the pilot, there are a couple moments where you can say, no, that's Scully's right on this. You're seeing signs that you want to see to prove to extraterrestrial. Whereas Mulder can see those signs as completely extraterrestrial. Us as an audience member sees it as extraterrestrial.
Well, they definitely, in the beginning of with the monkey in the coffin, they don't know it's a monkey at first.
Yeah.
And the way the monkey is shaped and everything. And initially, after the initial autopsy, they lead you to believe that this is an alien right off the bat. And, later throughout the episode, you realize that that is not the case. But I think that what about the detectives in the town?
They are shady. These are shady motherfuckers who you can pinpoint it the second that you see them and they're talking. The detective, the lead detective, and the coroner. They know more than what they're telling in the episode. I really feel. But once more, as an audience member, we can tell this as characters in the show. Mulder and Scully. You can't really, their detective work, their FBI work actually solves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figures out this case.
I think the key points of this episode are the car loses power.
Yeah.
The plane loses power. Also,
turbulence.
Time stops on the plane. Time stops in the car. We don't know if the plane is directly above where the car was, but you would have to assume yes. These the cop and coroner are shady. They're working together. They're in cahoots. And you also see how far people are willing to go to cover things up.
No, to protect a secret.
Yeah. When I was a little kid and I watched this episode and they burned the motel where Mulder and Scully were burning all the evidence, and he was like, they got all the evidence, he was real angry.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, damn. Like, I really felt it. Like, I really felt like they fucked him over in this episode. And, again, the acting, he was great in that. You really feel like somebody took something from him.
Yes.
And something that he was very passionate about. And it was also the closest he had come at this point. So they had just taken that from him.
Yeah.
Those things are big. Those are standout moments in the episode.
Yeah, because he's going through, and every sign that he has about these kids leads to abduction. Mm-hmm. Why did these kids die? This one apparently died of exposure on a warm summer's night. That's not happening. So, abduction is where he's going. Mm-hmm. They're being abducted, and when we get through the episode, I think the moment that really stands out in this, it's the burning of the motel. Because why would you want to burn the motel which has all the evidence? Why was that done? Mm-hmm. That makes no sense until we get further down the line and we realize that, who and the what, But it's still never really, but why was it done,
Well, yeah, I mean, it was simply they had gathered evidence to lean towards abduction, and the sheriff burned down the motel to get rid of the said evidence.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep it quiet. Now, I don't know if they're getting orders from something higher, or they're just trying to keep their little town off the map.
I think he's trying to, do we want to go into the next act? Do we want to go over to the next act yet?
We can go over.
Why, I think.
Yeah.
I think, we learned that the detective's son is comatose. Mm-hmm. I think the detective knows, spoilers, that the son actually is doing what he's doing, and he's just trying to protect his son.
Well, that's pretty obvious in the episode. Like even Mulder says, like, you know, this has been like at the end. Yeah. There's a final showdown. Obviously, they almost catch the comatose son of the sheriff in the act of taking these teenagers and basically giving him. He's like a honing rod from the aliens. Yeah. They're instructing him to go get a teenager and give the teenager to them.
Yeah, he's in the same class that had a party.
Right, yeah. But he basically says, like, you know this is happening. Mm-hmm. You're protecting him. You can't let him do it anymore. And, you know, Mulder catches him in the act. Scully doesn't again. Just Scully is going to stay the skeptic because she didn't see that part of it. No. Even though everything else was handed to her, that part of it, still she has to stay skeptical because she didn't see it. No. Logical brain, thinking like a scientist, no evidence, therefore no result.
And she comes around a little bit because she does start to realize that Mulder's not just spewing. Right. Because we do, you know, they go and visit the comatose Billy, I think his name was. They go and visit him, and he's got dirt on his feet and under his nails, and it's the same substance they found out in the woods. You know, long story short is that I think Scully almost can't believe what I think when they're in the rain, when they're out in the graveyard.
To the rational explanation. There's got to be a rational explanation for this.
But this makes no sense.
Right. And she's even, you know, put up against her skepticism, like, well, this doesn't make sense. Yeah. He's not crazy. There's something to this. Yeah. What is it? And, you know, she can't figure it out, so she kind of just almost like she turns her brain off. Because in the end, do you want to move to the end of the episode?
Yeah, we can, we're flowing. So.
In the end of the episode, every episode closes, or almost every episode, if not every episode, closes with a video sequence of Scully writing her report. Mm-hmm. She has to report back to these men that assigned her to the X-Files. She writes a case report.
Her field report, yeah.
Right, her field report. And she is very skeptical in her field report. Yeah. Even after she's seen that Mulder's not just crazy, somebody burned evidence, she still leans towards the skeptical side. She doesn't make Mulder out to be an idiot, but she does have a device that was taken from Billy that is a transmitter from the aliens. Yeah. We know this as, you know, as the viewer, but she doesn't quite know exactly what it is. She knows it's not of this earth. Yeah. And she says that in her report.
That they couldn't find the metal material in the...
Right.
They don't know what it is.
And while she's still, you know, doing her typing and everything, we see one of the ominous figures in the office from the beginning of the episode walking down a long hallway stacked with storage boxes, and he takes the metal object that Scully gives them and puts it in a little case with 4 other ones or 5 other ones. Yeah. So we know this has happened before. Maybe not this exact setup, but something like it.
Or those are the transmitters from other kids from the party.
I think these were from different times.
You think so?
Okay. Yeah, because if you look closely, because I paused it on this and pretended that I could, you know, work something out of it, but a couple of them they all look the same, but they look like they're aged different.
A little rusty.
Yeah. One had a little discoloration. Yeah. Could have just been a booger. I don't know, but I'd like to think that they're just older.
Yeah.
So that's the episode.
Yeah. This is an amazing episode. Like, it sets up everything. And just episode 1. I mean, it's literally like, usually like a season of television shows, it really doesn't get good. I love Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Right.
But it's like grinding my teeth watching that first season. Until Danny DeVito comes in, it's just like, and then I'll just skip to...
I mean, I really like watching them now, knowing where it's going. I love them.
Yeah.
Like that first one, the gang gets racist. I mean, that is a hilarious episode.
Yeah.
But they just didn't know what they were doing yet. They didn't have focus.
Right.
This episode,
day one,
gives it to you.
They knew where they were going. They knew what was going to go on. The only reason things kind of changed is because of, the world changed around them, kind of deal and stuff. So,
I personally think this show was way ahead of its time. You think so?
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what television looks like today, with the likes of, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, the modern day television binge watching experience, this is where it was going. It's an hour-long episode. No, there's not fanfare in this.
Right.
There is just a straight story being told. And I think it really comes out in this episode for things to come in the future.
Yeah. I think that there was nothing really on television at the time like it. Mm-hmm. It was, like you mentioned, Simpsons, Seinfeld, and then the fucking X-Files.
Frasier, maybe.
Yeah. Like Cheers may have been ending at that point or something, but like
TGIF.
This was in its own class, and it was ahead of its time.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that worked to its benefit or against it, but it is an amazing show, and I cannot wait to keep doing this.
Yes, but I think that from this point, now it can't be stopped. This is. Water down a river. You're not stopping it.
Real quickly, did you love the show from first sight, or did it grow on you?
Grew on me. Yeah. First time I watched it, it scared the hell out of me as a kid because I was still, I was young.
Yeah, I was young too. Yeah.
But the music. I'm not talking about the opening music.
Right.
But the atmospherical music, if you stop for a moment and you want to watch the acting, but if you listen just to the tone of music that they have there, scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely every time I heard the opening credits, I was like, oh, what? Yeah. Oh, that show's on again. I didn't know what it was. I just knew my mom watched it, and I watched it, and, it just grew into a weird obsession. Yeah,
it definitely did. And then finally, when I started watching it and getting into, space and getting into aliens and then started watching this and, about that time, let's say, it came, 93 it started, so maybe around my 11, 12, 13 ages, that would be up to season 5 where the movie came out. That's when my horror started, oh man, I really like horror movies. And I started realizing, wow, this is kind of like an intense version of horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely, the show really formed me as a person.
Oh yeah, it definitely formed me as a person.
I
got my love of science and aliens and outer space and everything else from it.
So. Yeah, and to understand some of the conspiracies that go on here, is not too crazy, just understand that it's not every episode is a conspiracy theory and stuff. Right. There is some
There
fiction.
are conspiracy theories in this show.
Yes.
And we will have Uncle Jerry's Conspiracy Corner when those conspiracies come up.
Yeah.
He will take you with him to his smoking chair, and he will tell you about those conspiracies.
Well, let me tell you, man, in that episode, okay, the guy, he walks out of the Pentagon, you see, and they had the map right there on the fucking door, man. They showed you right where that evidence locker was, man, and they were just pointing out, where in that evidence locker was, man.
So look forward to that.
Yeah, I know. Oh, fucking.
And that's episode 1, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks
Watch
for joining us, and we'll be back very shortly with episode 2, hopefully. And let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the next episode.